Question for you. What does this hollowed out log have to do with witches? Well, stay with me and I'll tell you the story. At a point in our country's time where people were terrified of witches. They believe that Mason Lee was born in North Carolina sometime around 1770. Later on in his life, he wound up in Marlboro County, South Carolina, and he had acquired a estate of about $55,000. The last version of his last will in the testament was written around 1820. And all this sounds pretty normal so far, right? The problem is that when he died, he left none of his estate and belongings to his family. Not his sisters, not his nieces, not his nephew, not anyone related to him. In his will, he requested that all his belongings be divided between the state of South Carolina and Tennessee. And of course, his relatives contested the will, saying that Mason Lee was crazy. So crazy, in fact, that a landmark case in the courts that is still used today is, how crazy can you be to leave a will? They say that Mason was pretty normal until he was struck by lightning while living in North Carolina at age 30. After getting struck by lightning in North Carolina, he moved to Georgia, where his peculiarities really started. He had killed a slave while he was there, and then he fled to South Carolina. He lived in fear that one of his relatives, Baker Wiggins, was trying to kidnap him and take him back to Georgia. And he thought that the Wiggins family had put a spell on him. Now, except for the Wiggins family, he was pretty good relationship with his family, except he believed that if he were to try to leave them property in his will, then they would want him dead before it was his time to go. He believed that all women were witches. He refused to sleep in any bed that was made by a woman, and he believed that people at a distance from him could cast a spell on him. And he believed that if he went to the bathroom on the ground, people could put a spell on him. So he carried a tin cup with him everywhere he went, so he could go to the bathroom in that. He cut holes in his shoes and in his hat so that he could drive the devil out. Does he sound crazy yet? But wait, there's more. In the daytime, when he should have been working, he would doze in this very hollowed out log, hollowed out from a gum tree in his little hovel down in the Petey River swamps. At night, he stayed awake in case he came in contact with any devils or witches. Mason Lee said that he met God in the woods, and he said God promised him that he would make him rich, but he would have to live poor the rest of his life. So he lived out the rest of his life in a little 12 by 12 shack in the Petey swamps, wearing clothes that had no buttons, and his pants were only kept up by a rope. The courts did find in favor of Mason Lee's will, saying as long as you're crazy and not really crazy, then your will could stand. But his heirs finally won in court against the state of South Carolina in 1829. The state of Tennessee never did give up their right to part of Lee's land, but they sold it to Robert B. Campbell, a member of the Congress of South Carolina, who joined the heirs at a law in the partition action in 1831. Mason Lee's grave can be found in the old Brownsville Cemetery, right outside of the Brownsville community in Marlboro County, South Carolina. The church at the Brownsville Cemetery is long gone, but over in the far corner, away from all the other graves, is the grave of Mason Lee, all off by itself. And you have to ask yourself, why is it so far away? Maybe because people don't want to be buried next to a crazy person. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to share this video with your family and friends. But until next time, y'all have a good day.